It's time for your daily LSU baseball update with Musso at the box. Now, Matt Musso.
Off and running. Welcome in another edition of Musso at the Box, presented by Got Lit Light Installers. Glad to have you here along for the ride. LSU, they get set to hit the road, take the trip down to Thibodaux, face the Nicholls Colonels in midweek action, the fourth of what is 7 straight road games for LSU here in really in the first half, middle to SEC play. Stepping out of conference, obviously, though. Here, it's not something that LSU really enjoys doing. Jay Johnson, when he met with the media on Monday, spoke about that. They don't like to go on the road midweek during league play, but given the nature of earlier in the year, and you were supposed to play Nicholls on the road, that was pre-conference. You had the hard freeze, the weather conditions, all of that. The game ultimately gets postponed to Monday at the box. Then you just kind of flip the home and away dates, and you end up with this game here. I actually like it because I think it creates a really pivotal stretch for LSU here at this point in the season, while they're really kind of starting to click and turn the corner, as we talked about in our weekend recap from Oklahoma. So we'll get you a preview on that game, kind of look back at the first matchup, things of that nature. But also in Jay Johnson's media availability, he spoke about Gavin Guidry and gave a little bit further of an update than he did a week ago when he targeted the Auburn series, and kind of even addressed for the first time, will Guidry pitch this year, or are they looking at a redshirt as a possibility on the table? So we'll get into all of that here on today's edition of Musso at the Box. Smash the like button, get subscribed to the podcast and on the YouTube channel if you have not already. That is greatly, greatly appreciated. Please share. Just search Musso at the Box, YouTube, or on your favorite podcast app, and take the show with you. Again, share, follow me on social media. All of that is very, very much appreciated. Okay, we will start with the newsy item, and that is Gavin Guidry. As said, Jay Johnson met with the media on Monday. And we'll take it back a little bit further. And his media availability after the midweek game a week ago, his post game for Louisiana Tech, that's when he first said they were targeting the Auburn series for Gavin Guidry, and he first mentioned the benchmarks. If you are unfamiliar with the story going around here up to this point with Gavin Guidry, I doubt many of you are, because still get asked about him just about on a daily basis, even though I've said don't ask me about him. Obviously, tongue-in-cheek. Here's your catch-up. Gavin Guidry was supposed to actually pitch this first game against Nicholls. That was supposed to be Guidry's season debut. It gets postponed. That was a Wednesday night. It gets postponed. And then Guidry wakes up the next morning with a pain in his back. And he's been on the shelf really since then. And I've given you as much as I've been able to on the injury. There's certain things you're just not going to talk about. But the thing that I have consistently said is it's an injury to his back that is legitimately day to day. Like, he goes in there every day, and they kind of start from square one, in a sense. I'm sure a lot of you out there who have dealt with back injuries or deal with, some type of back pain that can flare up on you from time to time, you know how sensitive of an area that is. You should know just in general, given everything that goes along with your down your spine from the central nervous system, how critical your back is. And when you do an activity or a skill like pitching, it's just ratcheted up to the next level. It is legitimately day to day with Gavin Guidry. And that's why, and Jay Johnson even touched on this really kind of for the first time when he spoke with the media on Monday, talking about benchmarks. And that one benchmark from one day leads into another benchmark on the next, so on and so forth. And if you get to a certain point that you're not hitting those, it kind of goes back to the beginning. That's why, and a lot of you have asked, how can it go from, oh, he's set to pitch here. It's this weekend now. I know it seems fishy, right? The timeline keeps jumping. That's why. That is why. because, okay, he's hit a benchmark here, he's hit a benchmark here, and he couldn't get to that one. All right, well, let's backtrack now. They're going to be very careful with him. That's something we've said from the beginning of this as well. It's legitimately day-to-day, and they're going to be very careful. So when Jay Johnson met with the media on Monday, forgive me, I didn't have time to pull the audio, but I will do my best to paraphrase what Jay Johnson said. I did listen to the press conference earlier today. Jay mentioned again the benchmarks and said their hope is still the Auburn series. But one thing they don't want to do is have him be, ready to pitch, run him out there, he pitches, and then there's a setback and you lose him. They want to make sure when he's ready to go, he is ready to go. And that's why they've been so stringent with these benchmarks. Monday, Tuesday are big days for Gavin Guidry. If he can hit those marks on each of those days, he takes a massive step forward into potentially being available. Now, Jay Johnson also said that's an answer that he probably won't have until Thursday. Guidry has been traveling with the team. You'll notice him. He's right next to Jay in just about every dugout shot. He's down at that end, being very invested into the game and things of that nature. Jay Johnson even mentioned that, how great he's been in the dugout through all of this. Is he somebody that you absolutely want and absolutely need back? The answer is unequivocally yes. That's a veteran arm that has pitched in Omaha, that has pitched in the biggest stage in college baseball, that has pitched in some of the biggest moments for LSU over the course of the last 2 years. Yeah, you want that guy back. So they are still targeting Auburn, but they have to meet the benchmarks in order to really take the step forward to getting there. I don't know what those benchmarks are. That's not something that I'm privy to. But I've given y'all throughout all of this, really everything I've been comfortable mentioning about the injury. And it's been reinforced today, given all the talk about benchmarks, that how legitimately just day to day that it is. Here's the other thing I will say about the injury. Then I want to get into another conversation that Jay had. I kind of blanked there for a minute. When Gavin Guidry is ready to go, if Gavin Guidry is ready to go, when and if, and you run him out there, it certainly seems like it's going to be on a weekend. So what does that potentially look like? I want to come back to that. The other conversation that Jay Johnson had was the possibility of a red shirt for Gavin Guidry. And this is really the first time he's been asked, kind of point blank, in a way, is he coming back? Like, would y'all consider redshirting Guidry? The first words out of his mouth on his answer to that question, this is a direct quote, don't even have to paraphrase, is, I want him back this year. So that thought hasn't really even entered their mind yet. They are still working to get him back for this season at some point during this season. Jay made that perfectly clear on Monday. But he did leave the door open. Again, just kind of further emphasizing how delicate of a situation it kind of is with the injury. That if there is a point that comes into play, all options are on the table. It is not something they want to do. They want him to pitch for the team this year and impact this season, and they need him. But they are not going to, jeopardize his future in baseball or with the team by moving this along too quickly. I think we've seen that play out here up to this point. You've played 33 games. Gavin Guidry hasn't appeared yet. And that's not going to change going forward. Back to if and when. It's been 33 games and you haven't seen. Gavin Guidry has not pitched for LSU since last June, particularly game 6 of the regional against North Carolina. He closed out that game that forced the game 7. It's been a while since he's pitched in a high leverage competitive spot in a game. So the spot that LSU picks for him potentially when and if he comes back is important, and expectation level on him should be lowered now to this point. It's going to be a buildup for him, much like you've seen with a guy like Chase Shores. It might not be the same dominant stuff that we're used to seeing from Gavin Guidry once he hits the field again. That's just the nature of injury. The expectations we all had for him at the beginning of the season are not the same expectations that you have for him right now as we sit here on April 7th and he hasn't pitched a game yet, and you still don't even know for sure if he's going to pitch this upcoming weekend in Auburn. But with the way we've all talked about him and how much they need him and everything, it's very easy to be like, all right, he's out there, go, be Gavin Guidry. And that might just not necessarily be the case. So temper expectation there if and when he potentially does make his return for LSU in 2025. That's the very latest on that situation. They are not considering a red shirt at this point. They want him back. Monday and Tuesday are big days for him. They should know by Thursday if Gavin Guidry will be available for the Auburn series. There you go. We'll see. We'll bring you the very latest when we have it right here on Musso at the Box. All right. Gauntlet Light Installers, gauntletlights.com. Then we'll get to the game against Nicholls. Go to gauntletlights.com. Permanent outdoor landscape lighting available. Front yard, backyard, home or business, flower bed, backyard patio, pool area. Gauntlet Lights has you covered. Custom designed to meet your desires. They make what you want. They install what you want, and then they maintain it all as well. Also, temporary outdoor lighting for your private events, your weddings, your wedding receptions, your birthday parties, your anniversary parties, graduation parties. Y'all, I'm going to keep hammering that home. Graduations coming up next month in May. You've got a graduate in your family, you're throwing them a party, high school, college, doesn't matter, grad school. Gauntlet Lights for all your outdoor temporary lighting needs. Again, that's very similar to the Christmas lights. Custom design, cut to fit, never a loose light, maintenance, storage, all of it. GauntletLights.com for Gauntlet Light Installers. Work with Derek and his team. Make sure you tell them you heard it right here on Musso at the Box. Okay, LSU, Nicholls for the second time this season. Feels like a lifetime ago when LSU and Nicholls met in late February at the Box in a rescheduled game. The Tigers won that one 13-3. Nicholls is a very different team now than the one that came in late February. LSU is a very different team now in April than the one that beat Nicholls 13-3 back in late February. But that's part of what we're going to talk about, because there are things that happened in that ball game that show signs for certain players on this staff, pitching-wise, and there are also things from that game from a pitching standpoint that show you the development of certain guys now at this point in the season. So, again, 13-3 was your final there. We just look at Nicholls, give you your overview. Nicholls, when they came into the Box back in late February, was 8-2. Nicholls is now 12-20. They are 6-12 in the Southland. They have lost their last 2 games. They've lost their last 2 series as well, including being swept by Northwestern State. This is a team that has won that league the last 2 years in a row. They have an uphill climb here in 2025 for the three-peat, and it does not look likely. The Colonels have struggled offensively all year, but especially over their last handful of games. You look at Nicholls, that's a team that's hitting .245 on the season. They're averaging 4.5 runs per game. They have only hit 9 home runs. In 32 games, they have hit 9 home runs. It's not a powerful club. and it's an offense that is really struggling. The pitching staff is what it is as well. It's an ERA north of 6. This just is not the same type of Nicholls team that we've seen the last 2 seasons. That being said, they are still capable of pulling an upset. The last time Nicholls played a midweek game, that was against number 13 Southern Miss. They beat the Golden Eagles in Biloxi, neutral site. They're capable of pulling an upset. It's one of the reasons I love this game on Tuesday night for LSU. You'll be in a hostile environment. Didier Field will be sold out, no doubt. And it's going to be a lot of red. And it's going to provide a lot of interesting opportunity for certain pitchers on LSU's team. So Nicholls 8-2 the last time you faced them. Now they're 12-20. It's different. And because they aren't a great offensive team, that should open the door for a good night on the mound for LSU on Tuesday. Now, this puts you in a unique spot because you only used 5 pitchers over the weekend at Oklahoma, which was awesome. You have a plethora of guys you can go to. Who starts? I think it's one of 2. It's either William Schmidt or Jaden Newt. Take your pick. Schmidt kind of slid back into that midweek starting role after Newt seemingly moved to the weekend, but you didn't see either of them in Norman. You didn't need to. You'll see both of them on Tuesday night. Take your pick on which one gets the start. I really don't have a preference. For what it's worth, William Schmidt started the last time you faced Nicholls. More on that in a moment. But I think you see both of those guys definitely. And you need to get Connor Ware back on the mound because Connor Ware has not pitched. Let's see. I'll look that up for you. I actually did not look that up just before we started the show. But, I mean, it's been a long time. Connor Ware's last outing for LSU was March 29th against Mississippi State. That was game 3, the 17-8 game. So you're looking at more than a week that Connor Ware has not been on the mound. You need to get that guy back out there on the mound. The same can be said for Connor Binge. Connor Binge has not pitched since that Mississippi State series as well. Oh, I'm sorry, that's not true. I take that back. Binge threw the 3rd of an inning against Louisiana Tech. So it's been a week for him. He needs to be back out there on the mound. Maverick Rizzi, same deal. Needs to be back out there on the bump. He hasn't pitched in a week since the game against Louisiana Tech. And then you can really look at your other guys. Primo, Myers, Dalton Beck. Do you start to get him some more work? DJ Primo. LSU still searching for that left-handed option out of the bullpen. So that's going to be something to watch here. I said I'd go back to William Schmidt. And I want to do that right now. Because looking back at that game against Nicholls in late February, Schmidt got the start. That was his 2nd college appearance. And he was awesome. When he should be feeling his way out, despite the competition level, it's his 2nd ever appearance. He should be feeling his way out. There should still be a little bit of nerves. There wasn't. He threw 60 pitches and got you through 4 2/3 innings. 60 was a hard, steadfast pitch count for him that night, and he hit it right on the dot, and they got him out of the game. He gave up 2 runs. One of them was unearned. He didn't walk anybody. He struck out 3. He threw 76% strikes. 60 pitches, 46 of them for strikes. He faced 19 batters, 16 of them first pitch strike. It's in there. I think our image of what William Schmidt has been totally distorted because of his performances as of late, especially in SEC play. And I'm not discounting that. I'm not saying, because he went out there and dominated Nicholls the 2nd week of the season, everyone should rejoice. Not at all. The competition ratcheted up, and you saw freshmen. That's what you saw. But I use that as an example to tell you and to show you and to remind you it's in there. He was extremely confident at that point. He was trusting his stuff, and that's what you're trying to get him back to right now. So I will be very interested to watch him pitch Tuesday night in whatever role it is, in the starter, out of the bullpen, against that same Nicholls team again, and see if he can't find some of that confidence. Because it was after that we all first looked at him and went, whoa, he doesn't belong here. You let him keep developing, and that's going to be a big arm for you down the stretch and into SEC play. And it hasn't worked out that way yet. But it's in there. When he's confident, when he's trusting, that's what it can look like. And I thought Schmidt pitched really well against Louisiana Tech in that start a week ago. So let's see what he's got. But it's there. And that first Nicholls game was a great reminder, even to me, that it's there. And that's what he's working back toward. This will just be another step in that direction. So I am hopeful that you would see Schmidt, Newt start this game in some combination. Those guys be the first two, and then just roll in your parade of relievers. Get everybody else out there on the mound. Again, whether it's Ware, Binge, Beck, Dorsey, Rizzi, Primo, Myers, all of them. As many of them as you can fit into the ball game. Get them out there. Offensively, not too concerned. LSU should mash. We'll see who Nicholls starts and what that does to the DH and right field spots and even third base. I expect Cade Arambidi to be in the game catching, give Luis Hernandez his kind of normal breather and time off in the midweek. And I expect LSU to go out there and take care of business. But as per usual, all eyes are going to be on the pitching staff here in the midweek, because this is an opportunity for everybody to go out there and get some innings and try to continue to work toward carving out bigger roles on the weekend, because it's fantastic to look at that and go, man, LSU used 5 pitchers. And the reason you were able to do that was because of the effort you got from your starters. Those guys continue to develop, specifically Ianson and Shores. Then you shorten the game. That becomes a lot easier. And you can get through weekends and games not having to use as much pitching. But until you can do that on a consistent basis, you still need a couple of guys to emerge out of that bullpen, so you're not relying so heavily on Cowan and Evans. I'm not saying don't pitch Zach Cowan and Casey Evans. That would be stupid. But if you can lighten their workload, hey, we need 6 outs from you to close out this game instead of 12. You get more longevity from them when you get into late May, June, and so forth. That's ultimately what you're looking for. This is the next opportunity for those guys: Binge, Beck, Schmidt, Newt, Ware, Primo, all of those guys to say, hand in the air, coach, I'm taking the next step. Give me a shot. And each midweek game from here on out is that. So the pitching will always be the main focus when we sit down to preview those games. I expect LSU to score a lot of runs. In fact, I kind of expect this to be a 7-inning game. I hope it's not. I hope LSU has to play all 9 just like they did a week ago, because it allows you to just get more and more guys on the mound. That's what you need, mound time. They need mound time. They need experience. That's how you build up. I mean, that is Jay Johnson says it all the time. There is no better coach than experience and playing time and mound time. So let's see what they got. And again, I love that it's going to be on the road, because while it's not the biggest stadium, it's a unique environment that can be tough going on the road in these midweek games in the state of Louisiana, because it's the biggest home game for that team. And it's a chance to knock off LSU. And the intensity is always ratcheted up in these games, whether you're at Southeastern, McNeese, La Tech, Tulane, or Nicholls. Doesn't matter. It's always ratcheted up the intensity a little bit. So you have an opportunity to get some of these guys into tighter situations and see how they respond before you take another step and another trip on the road this weekend. And that's the other thing I wanted to touch on in this show. On this show, it's such a pivotal stretch for LSU, I feel, because that was really the one question mark you still had about this team. Can they win on the road in true road games? And You didn't at Texas. And, man, the momentum got away from you. It switched dugouts in the 5th inning in game number 2, and you were never able to get it back. Specifically in that game. Fully get it back. So we had that question. And I don't think that question has fully been answered yet. Because, yes, you went on the road, you swept Oklahoma. That's awesome. Like that, I'm not taking that away from you. I don't want it to sound like that. That was loud. I mean, that was the word we used a number of times in the recap. That was a loud statement made by LSU. But the most impressive part of that to me was what they did in the conditions. That is not an atmosphere in Norman, Oklahoma at all. LSU fans took over that tiny little stadium. That is not an atmosphere. That is actually embarrassing. I would put that on the level of Missouri, to be quite honest with you. That's what that is up at Dale Mitchell Park. You will face a much better atmosphere on the Plains against Auburn when you can actually get around 6,000 people in there who are invested in the baseball program. And Auburn's playing really well. That's a team that's right on the cusp of the top 10 after beating Alabama at home. So they have some momentum at home. Like, that is going to be a really good test again for LSU, as will Tuesday night. You come out of this with a winning record. You swept Oklahoma. You beat Nicholls. You go on the road. Take that 2 out of 3. We will look back at this stretch later as the one that answered really maybe one of the last questions for this LSU team. This is your sandwich spot right in the middle of it. You're going to have to go out there and play well to take down this Nicholls team. They're capable of an upset, even though they haven't been very good this year. On any given night, they can now knock off a ranked team. They already proved that against Southern Miss. So this is your sandwich spot in the middle of probably your most pivotal stretch to this point in the schedule. Let's see how they handle the next phase. I'm excited to watch it. Excited to bring you coverage of it here on Musso at the Box. Y'all smash the like button. Get subscribed if you have not already. Follow me on social media, Twitter X, Musso Matthew. You can find me on Facebook, Matt Musso, Instagram as well. All of that is greatly appreciated. And be here next time for more on Musso at the Box.